Maybe if I, actually unmuted myself, that would be great. Hey guys, I'm Ray, and we are streaming blacksmithing. So welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. That's really sad that Twitch didn't acknowledge you on Friday. That is sad. So today we are going to have a bit of a production day. So I've brought my bench grinder here in view so you guys can kind of see what I'm doing. But today we are going to be finishing up the tongs that we couldn't quite get finished on Friday. So we've got to kind of do a little bit of grinding on the edges there so that they close. And then we are also going to spend a little bit of time making 2 more bells and just putting the finishing touches on the rest of the bells. They are going to be Christmas presents for my friends and family. So I'm going to try and make as many of them and clean them up and get them ready to go as possible. So that's why we're doing a production day today. So it's kind of going to be a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And I will do my very best to get everything, working that you guys can see it and stuff. So yeah, that is the plan for the day, at least so far. As of right this moment. Let's see. So first things first, we're probably going to do a little bit of grinding here on these tongs. Yeah. But before that, I think I need to give you guys a little bit of a heads up as far as what's going on this week. Some kind of like, I guess, housekeeping sort of things. So today is my last stream for the week, right? So we're going to stream today, and then we will also be streaming on a week from today, on Monday. But that's going to be our next stream. We're not going to be streaming on Christmas Eve, and we're not going to be streaming the day after Christmas. So I'm going to be taking a little bit of a break. We're going to do some travel, make sure that I get to see some family and friends and get moving on, some social stuff. I'm very much in favor of sequestering myself in my shop and in my house. And so I really need to get back at it, like stop being such a hermit. So that's my main goal for the week is, fellowship and have fun. And a little bit of rest never hurt anybody. All right. So we have an ad that is going to be starting in about 10 seconds-ish. But I think I have enough time to tell you guys on Wednesday of this week, so in 2 days, I will have a new video posted on YouTube. It is going to be the video on making these bells. And so, yeah, I'm already starting to put out some shorts that are kind of like little chopped up bits and pieces of it. So hopefully you guys, will watch it on Christmas Eve and, Merry Christmas anyway. So, alrighty. So like I said, the first thing that we're going to do is do a little bit of grinding here on the tongs right here. I'm debating whether I want to do this on the grinding wheel or if I just want to do this with an angle grinder. And it might actually be a little bit easier to do with the angle grinder. We shall see. So I need my mask first off. And then let's see what we can do with the grinder or the bench grinder. This may be a bad idea. We'll see. It'll be a quick bad idea if I can figure it out. Or like, so we're in the middle of a break, actually. I don't know. Let me try. I'm going to try this while we're on break. A little bit. It's working a little bit. Okay. Evening sandwich, hello. Let's see. Trying to make this a little bit easier to do. Got to pay attention to where it's hitting. We're getting a lot closer to close, so that's good. All right. All right. So that's not bad. They open and close now. So the next thing that we're going to need to do is we're actually going to have to kind of finesse them a little bit. So yeah, we're going to turn on the forge and see what we can do as far as like, you know, making them a little bit tighter. We've got a little bit of wiggle in there, and we've got a little, they don't quite meet up correctly. I knew there was something special going on with this stream. Now I have proof. Sparks are starting to fly. Yes, that is so totally what's happening. These are going to be for later on. And you know what? I forgot to start recording, but that's all right. I don't really need. Okay, so let's record there. And I'm not gonna, well, maybe I'll start, well, I don't know. Anyway, let's start the forge. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna start the forge. How's things? Things are all right. I'm a little bit stressed out. You guys can probably tell. We're doing a little bit of a production day, and I spent a decent amount of yesterday on a production day as well. I've got a few last minute things that I need to do for friends and family. Before I have a trip. Fire of the metal cooker. Yes, exactly. That's what we're doing today. Okay. First things first, we are going to heat up these tongs. Like I said, we are going to try and kind of make them a little bit more close together so we can pick them up a little bit easier. We've got quite a bit of a gap over here, and we're touching on that side. So I want to, and like I said, they're kind of a little bit on the wiggly side. So we're gonna try and fix that a bit. It's unusual to be cooking, or I guess putting tongs in the forge, but we're kind of finishing these tongs. We're not quite finished with them yet. And because we moved the grinder over there, I gotta make sure that I've got access to my quench bucket. It's gonna be a little bit important a little bit later. as we are making the tongs and kind of closing them up, finessing them, we're going to need to continue to open and close them as they cool down so that they don't stick. So the plan for today, like I said, is going to be a lot of production work. So we're finishing the tongs, we're doing the bells, and then once I'm actually just finished and happy with everything that's going on, we'll probably end the stream. It might be a little bit early, it might be a little late. I've got 2 bells to make from scratch, or like from the blanks. And then after that, I have a little bit of finesse work that I need to do on 2 other bells. The petals aren't quite coming together exactly the way I want them to. And then after that, I have to spend a little bit of time cleaning up the bells and taking off a decent number or amount of the forge scale. So yeah, this is your only, or is this your only stream that's working? Yes, it is the only stream that I'm doing this week. I am leaving tomorrow for to go and see my parents for the holiday, and I just need a little bit of a break from streaming, so we're taking 2 days off, and I will be back a week from today on Monday, the 29th, I think. I want to say the 29th. Let me check that again, just to be sure. You know, if I put down my water, that would be great. Yes, the 29th. Monday should be the 29th, yes. So that will be my next stream. I have to take a couple, like I said, a couple days off to kind of rest and visit with some people. Well, this is a new lid. We couldn't find my other lid, so we found another one that fits, but it doesn't have like an air hole, so that's kind of weird. We'll miss the metal smacking, but I hope you have a great Christmas and get some rest. I hope so. Like I said, we're gonna go and visit some family. I'm gonna stay with my sister, and it's been a really long time since I've seen my sister, and so I'm really excited about that. So I love being out here. I love forging. I love spending time with you guys, but you know, I gotta spend a little bit of time with my family too. How's our tongs? They're not terribly hot, but that's all right because we don't need them to be like super hot for what we're trying to do. Okay, I've got a couple clackers over here. I need to move those so that I can actually work. Let me turn on the, oh, I guess I don't really need to record this because it's not really exciting. Yes, I do. I need to record this part. Jeez. Like I said, I'm just a tad stressed out. Not like super stressed or anything, just, you know, a little bit on edge. Once today's stream is over, I will feel so much better, you know, because it's like I will finally have all of my presents done at least. So, are these warm? They're only warm, so I think we'll be all right. Okay. So, and I didn't do this part. That should be good. Having tongs in the forge, this seems. Okay. So we need to keep wiggling them and making sure that they are, you know, close enough. At least on the one side, there's a bit of a gap there. I think it'll be all right. We are going to do a little bit more. We're kind of trying to get them a little bit closer together. Are they still wobbly? Yeah, a little bit, but that's all right. I'm going to heat these up a little bit further, and we should be getting ready to finish them pretty easily. They're not that off on the length either, you know. So we'll heat these up just one more time and do a little bit more finesse work to them. Tighten them up just a little. Hey, Lexi. Welcome, welcome. Okay, seemingly heat conductivity in steel is less than I would have anticipated if you can still touch them. Yeah, like when they're sticking out a decent amount, you know, it's not too bad. Also, I didn't let them get to a fully forgeable heat. Like I said, I'm only really trying to tighten them, and I don't want them to be like floppy or anything. I'm just trying to heat them up so that I can hammer the head of the rivet and make a little micro adjustments to the jaws of these tongs. So nothing crazy. So I don't need to heat it all the way through. We're not forging, we're just kind of dressing. I see. Yep. As the forge starts heating longer, it will start getting hotter, like further out, and it won't be as easy to use my hands to grab things. But I mean, once you get past this piece of steel, like this block of steel, at that point, no matter how hot the forge is, it's really relatively easy to kind of hand touch things. That's why when we tell you what came first, the tongs or the tongs, you know, how do you make a set of tongs if you don't have any tongs? Well, oftentimes people will tell you to use a long stock, right? So the longer your stock, the less heat is drawn down through the length. Did you record putting the bolt or hinge in place? I'm just curious if I can see that on YouTube later. Yes. So the VOD that I just posted today has the riveting function. There should be, or it should be there. It's probably going to be later on in the stream, however, and because I sit there and I fight with a dull drill bit for a really long time. So you might want to skip ahead, you know. Or you can wait until like I am able to edit the tong video together. That would also work theoretically. Okay. Do I got that? Yes, I do. You guys can see it, and it's nice. And like I said, I'm a little bit bleedy or weird today. All right. All right. They're not wanting to open and close right now. And that is exactly why I was just talking about how you want to make sure that you open and close things as you're going. Where did my gloves go? Raw. I've got all my pieces way too close together today, unfortunately. No, it's not an accidental weld. I just made it really, really tight. It'll be fine. I got it. They're just too tight. There we go. The more I open and close them, the easier it is to open and close them. So it also helps when your gloves aren't like super duper too big for your hands. There we go. Open, close, open, close. Alrighty. Open, close. And I think they're pretty good now. So now we got to decide what we want to do with the bit. If we want to just do them flat like that, or if we want to, you know, kind of put some lines or something in them. Hey, Kiri, welcome to the stream. Welcome, Raiders. I think my brain may have a word twister. Hello, hello. I think I missed the first beginning of that, the raid. So welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome in, Raiders. Thank you so much, Kiri. Ooh, we got a shout out already. Thank you guys so much for that. Welcome, welcome. So today is kind of a production day. I am kind of finishing up some projects that we were working on before. I am also going to be working on some jingle bells. So I've got a couple here that we got to work on. So this is like one of the jingle bells. It doesn't have the clacker in it, and I'm not entirely happy with how these pedals are meeting in the center. So I'm going to sit and ruminate on this a little bit. We're also going to make 2 fresh ones. We'll probably do that first. So I've got 2 blanks for our jingle bells, and I taught myself I made enough of these now that I kind of have an idea of how to do them pretty well. I'm pretty happy with 2 out of the 4 that I made yesterday, and so we're gonna make 2 more. I need 6. So from start to finish, we will be making at least 2 and finessing 2 more. And then we're also going to be cleaning up all 6 of them. That sounds really cool. Awesome. Well, I hope that it's really cool and really fun to watch. So right now what we're doing is we are finessing a pair of flat jaw tongs. I just got them like tightened enough, and now they're opening and closing relatively well. There's one last thing that I really want to do to these guys. Well, I guess not one last thing, but like another thing I'd like to do with these guys is kind of make it so that it's easier for me to hold them, open them and close them. So we're kind of gonna move the top one this direction and move the bottom one that direction so that they can kind of cross. If you look at these guys, the jaw, or I mean, I guess the reins are kind of in line and parallel with one another. Normally it's pretty hot in here, though. So yeah, like I said earlier today, I'm a little bit like stressed out because I gotta leave tomorrow to go home for Christmas, and these are my Christmas presents. So I'm using this opportunity to kind of finish them. And I've got a lot of stuff here that is not normally here. Like normally my bench grinder is like over there behind the camera, so I'm a little bit tight today. So it's going to be a little bit challenging to get through to change the cameras up a bit. But that's all right. Hey, Jack. Welcome in. Welcome, welcome. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I am so happy to be here. You know, I may be stressed, but being here and getting involved with you guys and like the back and forth, it's going to be the least stressed I've been in the last 2 days. So thank you guys so much for, keeping me sane today. But yeah, hopefully we'll have a good time as, you know, I start getting into working. The start was a little bit rough, but you know, we're getting there. We're getting there. Before I started the stream, the reason I was a little bit late is because I had to deburr my clackers. So each of these bells has like a little, they have to jingle, right? So you have a little clacker that sits inside of the bell. Well, I had to cut these tiny little things. Sane, I know, right? I'm probably not sane, but you know, I try, right? So yeah, I have these little clackers, and they're like the tiniest little things, right? So I had to cut them on the chop saw, and they get burrs on them, right? And so I had to deburr them this teeny, and you guys should probably not do that. So I wanted to do that before I started streaming, so I don't teach you guys bad habits. I'm not going to teach you how to grind something that teeny tiny with a bench grinder. I'm going to tell you don't do that. Holy Zoinks, welcome to the stream, welcome in. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, we need a little bit more heat on those tongs so that we can bend them a little bit. And then we will get started with the, where is the thing? Well, then we'll get started with our bells. I need to be a little bit, yeah, I'm a little, okay. I'm a little bit ADHD today, a little distracted. The belt on here is really far off to one side and it's not centered on the wheels. So I'll need to fix that before we start grinding, but we won't have to grind for a while, so it's fine for now. All right. Crazy. Crazy, crazy. So I've got two bells that I'm pretty happy with. And they even have the clackers in them. They sound pretty nice. So, yeah. Pretty happy with them. I think I'm happier with this one than this one, though, because some of the corners are a little bit wide, and I'm afraid that the clacker's going to fall out of it. So I might reassess this one, too. But they definitely need a little bit of grinding on the Scotch-Brite wheel over here to take off some of the forge scale. That way it makes them a little bit shinier and a little less black. But those are kind of what we're going to be making with our lovely blanks that are over here. Don't fall off. So we've got these lovely little blanks. And you know what? The butler made these blanks. I didn't make these blanks this time. I was busy forging that, like the previous one. So yeah, the butler cut them out and ground them so that they aren't sharp. And yeah, so hopefully they work pretty well. Okay. Wow, Butler made, yes. Butler made. Ouch. Maybe we don't put our, you know, our finger through the or between the swage block and the tongs if we're resting the tongs on the swage block, right? It's probably a good thing. Okay, these are pretty nice. I think I'm all right with these. All right, cool. So we're going to quench them off. Over here. When you are quenching tongs, always quench, or always open and close them as you're quenching them. These I am quenching in water, and the reason that I am quenching them in water is because we started with mild steel. And mild steel can be quenched in just regular water. Hey, Ping, welcome in. Thank you so much for those 100 biddies. Thank you, thank you. Are they tongs from Friday? Yes, they are the tongs from Friday. I just needed a little bit of finesse work on them so that they weren't too wiggly and they opened and closed all the way. So we did a little bit of grinding in that central area and fixed the rivet so it's a little bit easier to hold things steady. And so now we have some lovely flat jaw tongs. Or I guess maybe not lovely, but functional. They're functional. That's what I'm going to call it. In general, putting fingers below something and then hammering on it can have undesired consequences. Yes, very much so. Okay, so let's see how well these do. Not too bad, not too bad. So this should be beautiful while we're, to use for these lovely flat sheets. So that's the next thing that we're going to do is toss in one of these lovely blanks. So we can start heating up and making a bell. Unless the fingers owe you money. I don't know about that. I am definitely not a loan shark. We'll put these tongs away. Yeah, I'm not a loan shark, so I don't really want to crush people's fingers. But, it'd be relatively easy to do so with the equipment that I have here in the shop. I try to be really nice to people, though. All right. Cool. So we've got an ad starting in any minute now, really. So once that ad is done, we're gonna start working on our jingle bells. So I'm gonna move the camera so that you guys can see that. Because right now it's not focused on the swage block, it's focused on the anvil. Hammer? Yeah. I hammered my finger a little bit. Not too bad, but a little bit. I got a lot of scale going on inside of the swage block. I'm trying to remove it. This is a great horsehair brush. All right, changing hammers from that hammer to this hammer. And then what else do I need? Where are those? What do I do with those? Those are over there. So right now, the anvil is my table, my work table. Alrighty. All right, looks like the ad is finished. All right, so we are going to be working on the swage block. So the anvil is kind of just going to be a work table, and it's just going to hold some tools and probably the clackers, and then it's also going to, like, you know, hold my tongs and stuff. So everything is nice and in reach and in range. So let's see how this ends up looking. All right, that should be good. I think you guys can see from there. Okay, so I learned a new trick. So we're starting by rounding out each of the petals. More heat. Can you guys see all right? Also, welcome in, Bluesy. Welcome, welcome. I love seeing your greeting. It's fun to read. I don't always read it every single day, but when I do read it, it always makes me smile. But yeah. So yeah, we are going to be curving each and every one of the petals on the medium circle. And as we go, we're going to kind of start working inside the, or I guess the in-between area. And we're just going to start using the mid or medium circle, or I guess half circle, to kind of round out this whole shape. And it's going to give us a decent amount of roundness so that we don't have to do a lot of bending with the scrolling tongs. I was tempted to try and make a jingle bell from an old car hood, but it'd be all cold work, and I'm afraid it would crack and split at every corner. See, that's one of the main issues with these bells, right? If you make them too thin, they do start cracking, so you got to be a little bit careful. But you could theoretically do it cold, like make these bells cold. Now, what I would actually recommend is if you are going to do them cold, that you anneal them. So what you would do is you take a plumber's torch and kind of heat the whole sheet as you're or like between, you know, when the metal starts getting hard, you want to heat up the entire sheet, and that will readjust where the molecules are, and it'll make it a lot easier for you to work the next time. I'd have to make a wooden swage block. I don't have one. I mean, yeah, you definitely would. Although it's not too bad to make them. Especially, like, honestly, you could probably get away with a sandbag or, like, you know, dirt, you know? If you're working cold, you don't have to have something that's rigid necessarily. You can do something like a sandbag. I'm only a pretend smith. Some days I feel like I'm only a pretend smith, so, you know. Oh, you know what? I forgot to switch the cameras. I hope you guys can see all right. Let me know if you can't, because I'll readjust the cameras. All right, so now we're gonna turn it, start working on the other side, like so. And we're gonna need a little bit more heat here shortly. So let's stick this back in the forge. So this is my seventh attempt at making a bell. So hopefully it turns out a little bit better than the previous like 6. And, you know, because practice makes perfect, and the more you do something, the more repetition you get, the better things get. Sometimes, you know, it's not, or like you take a little bit of a step back, but as long as you're doing 2 step forwards and only 1 step back, you're still making progress and you're still learning. Let me see about getting a little bit of a different angle on this. Maybe if I move the camera this way, you might be able to see a little easier. There we go. That's probably a much better angle. You might be able to see the camera. Maybe. I don't think you can, though. Nah, not too bad. But it does mean that I'm going to have to go this way around in order to hit the buttons. There we go. That's better. Mo better. It's interesting how little different techniques or the order of shaping results can change the results a good bit. Yeah, it is really interesting. All right, so these work really well when it's flat, but then when it starts to round out, it's a lot less convenient, you know? Okay, so now we've got each of the petals nice and rounded. So we're gonna start working in the center area. This is where we gotta start being a little bit more careful. Here's that. So hopefully that's a little bit easier for you guys to see what I'm actually doing. Let me grab that horsehair brush again. I'm getting a lot of scale inside of the swage block. So we'll put the horsehair block over there. So I may end up, probably not actually, because I think I'll probably have to get the butler out here to fix that for me. Yeah, I think I'll probably use the Scotch-Brite to clean these up. I also have a wire wheel that goes on my bench grinder on this side. And I think that actually worked better for what I'm trying to do. But getting the wheel off is a little bit challenging. So I don't know. I might try it, I might not. Okay. So like I said, today's a little bit more of a production day. We're probably not going to be as, formal about things. So we can probably talk about just about anything that you guys want. Like I said, I'm not really like teaching per se today. I mean, I am, because, I kind of always am, but, So the bad part about this is that I end up burning my hammer handle a little bit. Okay. Gotta be a little bit careful. This is where we might rip the piece, like you were talking, Mahalo. We've got a little bit of rippling going on, and so that's the hard part about this. So we need to be a little bit careful about that. But yeah, we're going to grab some more heat. We're already getting a much more closed bell than we were getting before. So that's what I'm starting to learn. Hey, Blue Red Metal. Welcome, welcome. Today we're doing a little bit of a production stream. I've got a few jingle bells that I need to make for my friends and family for Christmas. So, friends and family, if you are actually watching this, act surprised. Yeah, it's looking round and smooth. I think it is too. Like I said, it took me a few to figure out exactly how to do this and how to round this out the way that I want them to be. And I think that this middle round hole on the swage block is the way to go. Originally, I was just kind of I'll just round the bottom, the base, and then I'll just bend over the pedals. So then they'll meet really nicely in the middle because they won't be all rounded and stuff. Well, I found that worked even worse than before. So we're rounding all of the pedals, and then we're rounding in the base, and it kind of brings it all up. And so then you get to a point where you can start using some scrolling tongs to kind of finesse the pedals so that they fit correctly. Do a lot of your relatives watch the stream? Some do, some don't. Some watch with the sound off, some watch the sound and not the visual. So, it's a little bit of a maybe, maybe not, as far as who's gonna see and who's not. Hey, Yankee, welcome to the stream. There was a time when my dad came into stream and actually was chatting a little bit. So some of you might have been there for that. Probably not all of you. That was a while ago. All right. Let's start again. Or I guess not start again. We are just, changing angles and doing another heat. Patience is a virtue when it comes to these guys. I'm learning that. I'm really bad at being patient in general. But, sometimes you gotta listen to your mama, Can't rush everything. right, we're gonna grab a little bit more heat here shortly. This is where I start burning in the handle of this hammer, but I think it's gonna be all right. In the end, it's gonna be totally worth it. You can totally already see how round this guy is. We've gotta get a little bit more work in on the insides, like in between the two petals, and then we will be able to start finessing them in. I think I remember a school teacher visit, a school teacher sister visited a couple times. Yes, my sister is a school teacher. I sort of understand your ordeal in trying to close the petals. In paper modeling, it's a chore to form a dome or an aircraft cone nose by closing the petals of the paper part. Yes, it's so annoying, right? And then when you start, when you start actually using the scroll tongs to kind of actually like actively bend them, then sometimes they start working. I guess one gets higher than the another, and it's underneath of it, and it's touching, and so you got to finesse it, right? Friday would have been a fun one for your dad to be in on. Yes, it would have. I was a little bit disappointed because the butler was home during most of the stream. The butler got home at like 2 or 2:30, something like that, and we start at 1:30. My time, it's usually 2, or I always tell you guys in Eastern because Central is really, really kind of weird. Not a lot of people understand Central from like, Europe and whatnot. So anyway, so the butler was here a half an hour into the stream but wasn't watching, and I think it would have been funny to have the butler watching when we were talking about, thirst emails. Because, gotta make sure the butler does not feel like they are, couldn't hear you laughing. Nope. Okay. Like I said, we are working on the area in between the petals. We have a few areas that are a little bit wrinkly, and I gotta kind of fix that. So you might not be able to see me going all the way in here like so, and I apologize for that, but the camera angle is really, really not cool. I can barely see inside of here, and I'm looking down in it. Oh, I've got a little fold in there. That might be a problem later, but I think it'll be all right. I wonder if I can fix that. I'll bet I can. I'm going to put this guy back in the heat, and then I'm probably going to grab one of my steaks. Oh, don't forget to mention in the housekeeping Roy's stream. Is Roy streaming again? He did stream on Friday, and there were several of us that watched it. Corwin won a hammer rack. Oh, no. I meant what happened on Friday. Oh, okay. I figured I was going to actually talk about that when it arrived. So, Roy from Christ-Centered Ironworks, he does an annual giveaway stream where he will stream for a couple hours and he'll just give away blacksmithing equipment. And so the grand prize is it's a foot-powered single strike hammer that has an air assist. And that was really cool to see. I did not win that. I actually won, but I did win something. I won a rounding hammer. So I would normally call it this hammer a round square hammer, because on one side it's a rounding hammer that's round. On the other side of the hammer head is a rounding hammer, but it's a square shape. So it's kind of like the square circle that Alex Steele is such a fan of. So I won one. And so that will be coming in the mail at some point. I don't expect to see it until sometime in January. But once that shows up, I will definitely do an unboxing here on stream. Plus, I have to rewatch the stream because I had just got home when I typed for that hammer, so I don't know who made it. So I got to figure out who made it so I can give them full credit for their lovely piece of work. And yeah, so I will do a full unboxing on stream when I get that hammer in the mail. But yes, shout out to Roy from Christ-Centered Ironworks over on YouTube. Every year he does a Christmas giveaway, and that fell on Friday, so last Friday. So yay! Watch the VOD. The hammer looks amazing. I think Mark Ling. I think you're right. I was looking through the credits, because in the description of his stream he had who had donated all of the items for the giveaway, and I thought that it was a Mark Ling one, but there wasn't which hammers was made by specific, or which specific hammer was made by what artist. There were a few that were just like, so many hammers made by this person, so many hammers made by that person. So I think it was Mark Ling, but I am not positive, and I wanna be sure, you know. Okay, more. Let's see. We're gonna come over here and see if I can't fix this guy over on the swage block. As it starts getting rounded, it gets a little challenging to pull it out of the forge because it starts getting a little bit on the roundy side, and sometimes it gets a little bit rolly. It likes to roll. All right, let's see. Trying to take out a fold. All right, looks like we got rid of it pretty well. So that's good. That's exactly what I wanted to see. All right, there's a couple flat spots in there. We're gonna do one more heat, rounding out that bottom. And then we will finish folding in the petals. There were so many gifts. It was practically Santa's workshop. There was. Definitely. Oh, I already was on the wide camera. See, I've got so much stuff in front of me that it's like a wall. I can't reach the camera switcher. So I have to go all the way around the wall. So I apologize for that. So tomorrow, normally what I would do is I would post the VOD from today on YouTube tomorrow. But I'm uncertain if I will be able to do that tomorrow morning because we're supposed to be leaving in the morning for our trip. So I will either have it up in the morning like normal, But if it's not up in the morning by like normal, it will probably be up in the afternoon. I will have it up tomorrow. I just am not positive on when. So hopefully I get it done in the morning. That's my goal, is to get it done that morning. Okay, we have an ad break that's going to be starting in about 3 minutes. I'm going to do my last heat on rounding that bottom before the ad starts. And then that way we have plenty of time. To see plenty of time after the ad to get the rest of it done. If you guys can see all that smoke coming up, that's actually the handle of my hammer singeing. Okay, I think we've got a really nice round bell. So I'm pretty happy with that. The next heat we're going to bring all of these petals around and close them in. So we're going to start putting one of the clackers in there, like so, and we'll close that clacker in there for our next heat. All right. Walking around the wall. Don't go through the wall because you're going to regret it. That's what's going to happen. So today's stream is not going to be condensed into a long form video. If you want to watch what happens today, you got to go to the VOD. I have already done a edited video for bells, and that comes out on Wednesday. So if you're interested in seeing how I kind of figured out how to do this, take a look at that video. So we're probably not going to do a lot of moving the camera around unless you guys tell me that you want a different angle. A lot of times you're like, whatever, we don't need another angle. But, this time, I'm just going to leave the camera until we change processes, if that makes sense. Nice. Yeah. So when we go from forging the bells to grinding and cleaning the bells, I will move the camera again, but until we're in a different process, I'm just going to leave the camera. Unless you guys tell me that you can't see things. Then I'd be happy to change the camera angle. I was working on this project all day yesterday, and so I'm a little bit tired. My back kind of hurts a little bit because I was kind of bending over things just to kind of be able to see. And so I'm a little bit tired, but I think that's all right. I've got one more bell after this one to completely do. And then after that, I got a little bit of finesse work to do on 2 other bells. And then I get to clean them all up. And so it should actually work out pretty nicely. I think we have enough time in the stream. Like I said, we may end up just, doing a little bit longer stream today if I can't, because I have to finish these before tomorrow anyway, because we're supposed to be leaving in the morning. So I might as well just leave the stream going while I'm working, no matter how long that takes. So, if you guys have to leave, that's fine. If you guys got to sleep or, get to work or what have you, that's all right. you know. I have to sneeze. Give me a second. Excuse me. Sorry about that. All those distractions today. Thank you. I'll probably do it again at least one more time. All right. Okay, so I've got this one, I got this one. We're good to go there. Let's fold this bell. Normally when I do hardcore production work like this, what I'm actually listening to music. So like I totally have music stuck in my head. That's not a changey thing, you know. We'll move that over there. Do a little bit of hammering. Just a little, not a lot. Because I don't want to end up with a bell that is flat. I want them to all be relatively even. I say relative because, you know. All right. This is where it starts to get a little bit more complicated. All right, more heat. We're going to need some more heat. So now would be a good time to get Rick Astley stuck in your head, eh? Probably. It'd be really easy to get something like that stuck in my head right now. Right now, I actually have a Sleep Token song stuck in my head. It's called, what is it? Something about like baths or something like that. Infinite Baths. I have no idea why that's stuck in my head, but because it wasn't even like the last song I heard. It's just what is currently in my head. Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down. Never gonna turn around and hurt you. So yeah, Rick Astley. It's just funny to me how that song became such a meme, you know? It became a meme. The other song that's become a meme is called Turn Off the Lights. It's definitely becoming a meme. It was a song from like 2012, and there's this club scene from this I think it's an Amazon show or something. And yeah, it's this guy dancing in a club to this really upbeat music, and it's kind of weird. It's got like blue lights. You guys should, I don't know if you guys have seen that meme or not. It's mostly a TikTok thing, but I think it's spread over to YouTube. I've seen a lot of it on YouTube recently. All right, let's do another heat. Part of me is wondering if I should do the same thing that I did for, like, I just put a clacker in there. If I should do the same thing that I was doing for the nails, where I'm just sitting there on the close-up cam with the wide as the, you know, as the inset, but I haven't really decided yet. Okay. So this is where we really got to start finessing this guy. All right, I think I'm gonna get a little bit more heat. What I need to do is separate this side a little bit, close in this side a little bit. Projects like this is where a torch really comes into its own, right? Definitely. It would be so handy if I had a torch, but unfortunately I don't. So we're just gonna take a few extra heats. It'll be all right. I mean, these won't be perfect. Like, not a single one of these will be perfect. I'm not gonna be happy with any of these, but they will be good enough for my family and friends. They'll be really excited and happy to see them. At least I hope. Not meant as a judgment at all. Yeah. Oh, I get it. I gotcha. But yeah, it would be really nice if I had a torch that worked, well. Like I said, I do have a torch, but my oxygen tank is so teeny that it makes it very difficult to use. So I'm hoping that, maybe Santa will bring me a jeweler's torch and I will be able to do the oxygen tank from my oxyacetylene rig with some of the dregs of the propane tanks and be able to do some jewelry work. I even like a little plumber's torch for these. I mean, it might work. I don't actually trust my plumber's torch for much else besides lighting the forge these days. My plumber's torch is probably, it's getting up there in the years. It's 18 years old, like the little tip of it. Obviously not the propane itself, but the little torch part, it's like 18 years old. And it's just it doesn't work very well anymore, and there's parts of it is plugged and stuff, so I don't like using it for things like that, but I might resort to it eventually, maybe. All right, let's do another heat. One of these days, though, I'm gonna have a proper setup. Over time, you got it takes a while sometimes to collect everything that you're wanting to use in your shop, All right. Okay. So inside of here, I have the clacker in there, and it's totally it's like bright as all get out inside of there. It's kind of funny, actually. All right, I need to pull this part up a little bit. And then on our next heat, we're just going to, maybe we'll not actually heat it. Let me see if I can't do it this way. Nope, that's a little bit too close, So we're gonna heat this up one more time. We're gonna pull that side up. And then we'll probably pull all of it out a little bit because they're all touching on the edges. This is the whole finessing, this is the part where you gotta be patient. We see it, that's awesome. Awesome, I'm glad that you guys can see things. I wasn't sure about the angle. But yeah, I had to put the clacker in there before I completely closed it, or I wouldn't have been able to get the clacker in there. So it's going to be a little bit on the warm side, but it'll be all right. So yes, this is where things get a little bit hairy, a little bit, persnickety. I've got to be a little bit more patient than I'm used to. because I want this to be as good as it possibly can be. But yeah, so we've got one other bell to do in its completion. So I've got one last blank to do, this guy. So we're going to turn this into another bell, and then from there we are going to clean them all up here on the belt grinder. Oh wait, I forgot. I have to finesse these two bells. I forgot I need to finesse these. You can kind of see that some of the petals are a little bit over, the lips are over top of each other. I want to see if I can't fix that a little bit, make them a little bit nicer looking. Add a little bit more patience. And yeah. Okay, let's do another heat. Okay. Like I said, we're being the most persnickety just so that we can make sure that everything is like gonna be nice and work exactly the way we want it to. So I think I'm pretty happy with that bell. So we're gonna put that bell right there on the anvil and let it cool off. And then we're gonna put another blank in. Okay. Where'd I put my flat tongs? I think I put them over here. I did. Okay. Yay! So are these Christmas gifts? Yes, they are. They are Christmas gifts. For friends and family. I need 6 of them. I've got 2 over there that I gotta finesse. I've got 2 over there that are I just have to clean up. And then I've got 1 here, and that's my last one. So I'm super excited about this. I think that last one is really good. I'm really happy with it. So I'm gonna probably try and make all of the rest of them as close to that as possible. Like I said, I've got 2 over there that I've got to kind of finesse a little bit. But I think that we'll be okay. I think we can do this. Exciting. Super exciting. But yeah, starting to get a little bit on the warm side. Yesterday, while I was doing this, I ended up taking my outer layer off too. It got really warm. So I haven't decided if I'm ready to take off my outer layer or not. Maybe. Okay. Let's start a new bell. Let's get a little bit more heat on there. If you have time, the easiest way to clean them up is to use a good old vinegar bath. That probably is totally true. But like I said, I'll probably just Scotch-Brite them. I don't need them to be completely shiny with no forge scale on them. I just want them to be prettier. I don't want any like sharp edges or anything like that. I think part of, or having some forge scale is part of the beauty of hand forge, right? But I don't want people to cut their hands when they pull them out of the box and, you know, for next year's Christmas, you know what I mean? So we'll see. Still really hot. So we'll leave that for now. Okay. Let's do a drink, and then we'll do another heat. Or I'll pour water down my chin. That also works. All right. I'm probably going to start using these guys now. More heat. Cool off the tongs so that I don't burn myself. The longer I put them in there, or I guess the more I put them in there, the worse it gets on the, you know, it starts getting hot. And I always end up like really choking up on my tongs when I'm bending the pedals inward. So I will say that the butler ended up making like really deep V's. There was on the, let me grab the paper. That way I can kind of show you guys what I'm kind of talking about a little bit. So this is the template. Welcome in, Chris. Welcome, welcome. So this is the template for these bells that I've been using, right? And there's some straights right in here. Like these just straight areas. Well, the butler didn't actually put in these straights. The butler kind of went in a little bit further and kind of rounded these out. And honestly, I think that's working so much better than these like little straights. I was having a lot of trouble where the corners of between each pedal were getting really wide, and so my clacker was falling out. Well, this one, the little corners aren't nearly as wide, so I think maybe this isn't the best pattern out there. You know, if you're interested in doing these, maybe round this out as opposed to allowing that like that straight. Things that you learn by doing, you know? Okay. Now we're going to start working on the center area here. We're going to need a lot more heat to get this to work. So yeah. If I had time for this project, I would totally make them all like this one. This one actually turned out really nice. They, like I said, the ones that have the straight aren't working nearly as nice. As I get contradicting information, so you say the template like template, some call or say it should be more pronounced like template. I've seen both, or I mean, I guess I've heard both. I usually pronounce it template, but I mean, it's one of those words that I read before I heard, if that makes sense. Tomato, tomato. Yeah, that's what I would say, you know, that it is more tomato, tomato. Either pronunciation, people are going to understand what you're trying to say. English is not one of those languages that the intonation makes as much of a difference, right? You're not going to say two completely different things necessarily if you know, the tomato thing, right? Whoops. And it made a liar out of me. The clacker did come out a little bit. I think it'll be all right, though. I think it'll be all right. But yeah, this is probably my favorite bell that I've made. It's pretty round overall. Read and read are slightly different things. Read and read, yes, that's true. Read and read are slightly different things. Read is past tense of read. I think I just really meant that English isn't quite as bad as some languages. You know, you mispronounce a word and you're insulting somebody's mom in some languages, you know? I feel like you're less likely to do that here in English. It's not completely unheard of, but, you know, less frequent. All right, more heat. As said, threat versus thread, yes. Did you read it? Yes, I read it. Yep. All right. The swage block is starting to travel, so I need to check to make sure that we're still in focus and we haven't moved that far out of frame. Okay, I think we're good. It looks like we're good. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. Traveling swage, that could be worth some money, right? See, the thing is, I keep hammering on the inside edge, or I guess the outside edge of this hole. And yeah, Did you say the swage block is starting to scrabble? But what word did they write? Travel. With a T? Travel? Ah, travel. That makes more sense. Yes, it's starting to move. It's shimmying because I'm hammering it this direction, and so it's starting to shift this direct, or like shift over that way. So I need to make sure that it or that it stays where I put it. Even if understood correctly, I try to reduce my accent as far as I can. Probably still sounds very German in English. Some colleagues have a pronunciation in English which can be even difficult to understand. Yeah, that's very true. Put a break on it. I mean, I might, maybe. Put a break on it so it doesn't travel as far. All right, I do need to do one more heat before this. And then I put instead on the right side, I'll put it over there. That'll work. Yeah. I have an ad coming up soon, so hopefully I'm able to finish this heat before the ad starts. I apologize if that is not actually the case. Hey, 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 maybe you don't fall out of my hands. All right, I've got another wrinkle right there. So for our next heat, we're gonna try and fix that wrinkle. Over on the trailer hitch. I wonder how a mix of German accent and Southern drawl would sound. I have no idea, to be quite honest. I kind of feel like certain words for me, I kind of have a Southern drawl. I was born in Texas, and I claim that, I have kind of a Texas accent. Not really thick or anything, but it comes out in a couple different words that I say. Apparently, the word squirrel, I have a Southern, like a little bit of a drawl in with, but sounds like a job for AI. Maybe. I will say I don't really support AI vocals, but So on YouTube, I'll probably elaborate a little bit further once the ad is over. But YouTube has a new feature where they will auto dub your videos for you with an AI voiceover. And you can opt out of it, which I did. I don't mind AI translations like subtitles, but I don't know that I want people to, think that I use AI voiceover. There's a lot of voice actors out there that are, yes, it is so annoying. I hate that because there are so many voice actors out there that just, they can't make ends meet, By default, it translates English videos into bad German. See, that's another thing, I never know. I never know, how well the translation is. This is probably the best one I've made so far. That makes me happy. Wow. That's crazy. I usually pronounce squirrel like squirrel, but sometimes I say square ill when I'm trying to talk to Superman. I had to think a while what they meant by three-vel bulb, where they meant three-way valve. Wow. That is so not right. But yeah, I turned it off. My videos will not translate, or I guess auto dub. I do have auto like subtitles, but I don't want dubbed because yeah, I without knowing what they're going to do and without speaking the language myself, I just don't trust it, you know? So apologies for those of you who are international, but we're not going to do the auto dub. Dimitri Hobbit, thank you so much for that follow 15 minutes ago. I think I missed it when it happened, but I am so grateful for your follow. Thank you so much for your support. All right. I've got that going, and I think we're all right. Yep, we've gotten rid of the fold. Yay! All right, so now we got to heat this guy back up again, and we're going to do a little bit more. We've got a really flat area right here, and I really want to curve it up. Squirrel is said to be an English word Germans cannot properly pronounce, but it also works the other way around. Oh, I already had us on the widescreen. Eichenormchen. I don't know. That is a big long word. Well, no, I'm sure that was a whole butchering of that word. I can imagine it was very butchered. I try. Okay. Let's do another heat. An actual other heat. Nether heat X. I don't know. If I could speak today, that would be great. It will be great. Ah! Things be moving around on me. All right, I need more heat. We're getting there slowly but surely. Patience is a virtue. Words are hard. Words are hard. I don't know what's worse, learning how to speak a new language or learning how to write a new language, like read and write it. Man, my back is starting to get really tired. Like, I can breathe just fine right now. It's just my back is starting to get really tired. We'll get through this today. We will get through this. I keep looking at the swage block and trying to match the half round to the hammer. I think it's this one. I don't know why I'm doing that because I don't know. Brains, guys, brains. I'm getting into like a flow state though, so you know that's really good. Ouch! A piece of scale got me. We're getting to the point now where we're going to be a little bit, or it's going to get a little bit harder. We're starting to get a little bit of wrinkling. But I still need a lot more rounding. There's a flat spot there. There's a flat spot there. We're getting there. Literally, it means the little oak horn or something like that. So squirrel. Okay. Oak horn. Why horn? I get that the squirrels they go to acorn or I guess oak trees to get the acorns and stuff, but like why horn? They climb. Curious. Horn is probably no appropriate translation. That might be the case. I feel like German has, as a language, has a much more specific, like set of words. There are a lot of words that just don't have translations. Because don't you guys have like multiple words for what we would call love, or like multiple words for different emotions that we just don't have words for at all? Dang it. I'm gonna need to use the other tongs because I can't get this out of here. It's starting to roll around. There we go. I got it. Camera sound, I think. Yeah, I think for now we're going to be on camera sound. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Apologies. I guess my receiver
the battery died, so I will have to charge the receiver, and then once it's charged up enough, I can plug it back in and I can use it from inside the box. But for the moment, we're going to be on camera sound. Apologies. So because we are on camera sound, or in camera sound, I'm not going to be doing the inset because I don't want you guys to hear the echo. Apologies, I'm sorry guys. Once it gets to the point where it's charged enough to turn on, I will I'll go back to the regular sound. But sometimes the other way around, for example, in German, there's no distinction between safety and security. Both are there, seems to be the difference between illness and disease, not in German. Makes sense. Okay, let's do another heat. So I'm going to change the cameras. I'm not going to do an inset this time, just because I don't want the echo. Apologies. One of these cameras is going to be worse than the other, I think. I thought I had them both charged, but I didn't. Sorry. I try a lot. Okay. So we're gonna start we're gonna start folding these in for our next heat. Yeah, pretty well. We're getting close. We'll be finessing for a while. Okay. I'm gonna mute for just a second.
Okay, test, 1, 2, test. Okay. Next, we should have regular sound again. Okay, we still have that sound as well. All right, I wasn't sure if by plugging and unplugging the, wait a second. Give me a second here. We're probably getting a little bit of a, there we go. That's probably better. Ha! I hope you guys can hear me properly. Okay. A classic in engineering is the difference between it is okay. Okay, cool. Strung, open loop control, and relung, closed loop control. In English, it's just control. Open loop control versus closed loop control. I'm not sure I get that. Is that like a coding thing, or is that just in general, and it's a concept that I'm not familiar with? Dang it. It's all the way in the back. I hate it when I do this. Okay. All right, we're gonna slowly do this because I don't, like I said, I don't wanna mess it up. So slowly but surely, we're gonna close this. In engineering in general, okay, makes more sense that it's not entirely, or that it could be specialized, I guess. In an open loop control, you know what something is supposed to do and try to drive it there, but just according to some plan. In closed loop, you constantly check where it is and correct. Okay. Okay. I guess that makes sense. So closed loop is more manual, whereas open loop is more automatic. Something to, at least that's my understanding of it. For now. No, not quite. Okay. We're starting to get some really good heat in the forge, so a lot of our heats are going to get a little bit closer together. Ow. I choked up a little bit too much on my tongs again, the ones that I've been. Okay. I need to mess with this guy a little bit for our next heat. Like I said, slowly but surely we're closing that out. Slowly but surely. Cool those off. I'm getting tired. I still have some finesse work and a bunch of grinding to do. And we're at 2 hours. Goodness gracious. I might have to take a break and do a little bit of this later on. Like tonight. After dinner or something. That, or maybe I will have the butler come and grab or like get the wire wheel onto the thing. That should make it a lot easier for me to clean these guys up. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. All right, another heat. Patience is a virtue, Ray. Patience is a virtue. We're going to have to unfold this one because the whole thing is lopsided. You can kind of tell. So this one needs to come out. That whole thing needs to go this direction. We've got it twisted. There we go. That's better. I need more heat. Patience. Patience. I told you guys what I'm doing or what I'm planning on doing this Christmas week. What about you guys? Do you have any great Christmas plans going on? Visiting any exotic locations or family members that, you know, you're looking forward to? Like I said, I am pretty excited to see my siblings. Visiting parents, nothing else. Ah, okay. Parents can be exciting. Parents can also be less exciting. I mean, depending on, you know, your relationship with your parents. I have a pretty good relationship with my parents, you know, so I am looking forward to seeing them too. It's been a while since I've been able to talk to them, so I am very much looking forward to that as well. Family get together is Friday. That's all I know. So I've got a family get together on, I think, every day this week, like starting tomorrow all the way through Christmas Day. I think I do get a break on Friday, though. I think I get a break on Friday. Staying in town, lunch at my brother-in-law's, hopefully doing some organizing in my garage with the nice weather. Hopefully, oh, is it supposed to be nice up north? I hope so, because I do not take well to ridiculously cold weather. And like I said, I'm going up north. So I need to move this one up and over. This one needs to go up and over. A little bit more heat. I'll also probably put the clacker in there on this next heat just so that I can close it in there. We're starting to get really close. But I don't want it to get hot without needing to get hot. Girlfriend is here in Michigan visiting her mom for Christmas. Was nice we got to go out for Christmas lunch today. We have been friends for about 54 years now. She lives in Alaska. Oh, wow, Alaska. That is quite far away from here, at least. Welcome in, coffeeologist. Welcome to the community. I see that's your first chat. Oh, goodness. I have made a grave error. It's all the way in the back. See if I can't roll it forward. It's upside down, too. That's my problem, you know? Ow, ow, hot. Okay. Do. Let's see if we can't pick it up. Pick it out of there. Haha. I win! Now I'm going to have to cool these off a bit. That's why I have them readily available. All right, let's do one more heat before that ad starts. Got plenty more stuff to do, so I don't think we're gonna need to like necessarily make the ads go away right away, but okay. So now we need to bring that one down. Ooh, I forgot to put the clacker in here. I forgot to put the clacker in. Let's move this open just a hair. Stick that in there like maybe not like so. There it goes. We're getting there. Finesse away. Okay, we've got an ad starting very shortly, so once that ad is done, we'll do another heat. On that, like I said, we're going to be finessing from here on out. We have 3 bells to finesse, so once that one's finessed, we have 2 more to go. Then after that, grinding. Or I guess at least Scotch-Brighting. I suppose I could do a little bit of Scotch-Brite while I'm waiting for our finessing heats, but I think I'd rather do it all at once. So this is a Scotch-Brite wheel. It's a lot thicker than a sanding wheel, so that one's old and there's always a chance that it's gonna rip. But yeah, it works really well at getting scale off of things. So that's what it's for, and that's what we're gonna do with it. Does the Scotch-Brite get you to the final finish? Yes. Primarily it does. What you really want to do is you want to do all of your grinding, all of your sanding up the grits, and then you want to do Scotch-Brite last. That is your last grit. But I don't really want to grind these. These are really, really thin sheet metal, and if I grind them flat, we're going to get holes in them. So we're just going to Scotch-Brite them to get as much of the scale off as possible. You cooled the tongs before using them to shape the bell, because otherwise there would be a risk that the tongs could be bent while hot. This time, no. The reason that I cooled the tongs off this time is because I didn't want to burn myself. I have a tendency when I'm finessing the bells to choke really far up. And I've been having to throw these all the way into the back of the forge to get the bell out. So it's getting really hot. Over time, it starts burning my hands with the tongs. So that's why I did that. Thank you so much, Coffeeologist, for that follow. Also, Empty Bear Can. Oh, Empty Beer Can. I can read. Thank you guys so much for those follows. Welcome to the stream. Okay, makes sense. Yes. You can. There are times when I will bend my tongs, and I'll talk about that a little bit later once the ad is over. Because I don't want you guys to miss me talking directly to you. Let's get some more water. We are almost to that point in time where I get to Gatorade. It is almost Gatorade o'clock. Ugh. There's some kind of grit at the bottom. Ugh. That's normally why I have the lid on it, so I don't have to drink grit. Raid, you say? Maybe. I think I said Gatorade. But I wouldn't mind a raid. Like I said, I still have quite a bit left to do today. I have to Scotch-Brite all this stuff. Like I said, I got 2 other bells I need to finesse a little bit. I think that I can get these 2 bells just a little bit nicer and a little bit tighter together. So we're gonna do these first, and then we're just gonna Scotch-Brite everything. The last thing that I gotta do before I end today, and I'm not gonna do it on stream, is the last thing that I gotta do is I gotta spray paint these so that I make sure that they don't rust over time, to seal them. So typical stream end time is half past Gatorade, something like that. Something like that. All right, let's do another heat. We're, like I said, we are finessing. Finesse, finesse. I know this sound is going to sound kind of stupid, but for me, or like this thing, it reminds me of a tomato. I don't know why. I really don't. But I do. I think it reminds me of a tomato, and I just, I'm not a big tomato fan. All right. I'm pretty happy with that. But the corner, there's one of these corners that's a little bit wide. This corner, it's a little bit wide, and I'm afraid that the clacker's going to come out. So I think I'll probably one more heat, and I will straighten that out a little bit, maybe. I don't know. I think we're doing all right. I miss part of that. It does. I see it because it's red when it is glowing, and tomatoes are often cut like that. Yes. Yes. You guys do see that it's a tomato. I'm not crazy. Yeah, it looks like a tomato to me. But it won't be a tomato when I give it to people because, it's not going to be red. I mean, just kidding. You guys are like, nah, you're crazy. You're crazy, Ray. Keep on being crazy. All right. I got to figure out what I did with the last clacker. Wait, there's a clacker in here. There's a clacker in there. This one does not have a clacker, but there's a clacker right there. There's a clacker right there. Do these two have clackers? Yes, they do have clackers. All right, cool. Clacker. Clacker. So these two do not. And the clackers are right there. Okay, cool. Yay! Crazy is cool, is it? Okay. That makes me feel a little better, right? That makes me feel a little better. All right, let's see if I can't close this side a little bit. Just a little bit. Without, I think if I do close it out like that, then it starts, okay, so I don't know how to fix that. It's just going to be open on that side, I think. Whew! Well, that did not help me. That was a really bad thing. Okay, well, I try things sometimes, right? I try eat and scale. It's yummy. All right, one more heat on this one. Because I screwed it up. Whew, yucky, eat and scale. All right, this guy is empty. I'm gonna grab some Gatorade. Oh my goodness! The Gatorade is gone. It must have been brought in the house. I'll be right back, guys. It was there. It was there. It's not there anymore. Is there any inside here? All right, I'm back. I'm back. The butler's been cleaning and brought the Gatorade inside the house. I had it in the outside of between the shop and the house to cool it. More heat on this one. How many times have we heard that and it's not the last heat? Happens to me too with woodworking and soldering. Yeah. One more heat, one more heat. We have an emote for that. A one more heat emote when I say one more heat and I don't mean it. Sometimes when I do mean it, but not all the time. And I forgot to change the camera out. Apologies. Whoa. How about let's not drop this thing? That can stay in there like so. That can go down a little bit. That can also go down a little bit. All right. I think that is going to be our go-to for that one. So let's toss this guy in the heat. Okay. I'm making a giant disaster. Okay, so the clacker is probably not going to stay in that one. Because there's a giant hole on the one side. Overall, it should, except not, except when it doesn't. I wish there was a way to close that. I wish there was a way to close it, but there really isn't one. Not quite as good. It's a little flatter, I think. It's a little flatter. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm gonna cool this one though. So that I can grab it eventually. I'll put that one over there. I came back in time to see the bell, but work made me miss so much. Could you push the surrounding edges in with a hammer after heating it up? I mean, possibly. I think really it's because it's a little bit flatter. So it's more like this kind of tomato instead of more like this kind of tomato. So we ended up with one side that was a little bit wider. A little flatter is not the same as a large flatter. That's true. I don't even have a flatter though. No flatter for Ray. Maybe that's something that I should make. I should make myself a flatter. Someday. I'll put it on the list of projects. A flatter is basically, it's a tool that it's just like a flat surface. It's like, normally they make them in square, about yay big. And you have like a little shank on the end of it. And it's handled kind of like our punches. So instead of the punch, you get like a little flat surface. They call it a flatter, and it's there so that you can flatten out all of your work. I desperately need one because none of my work is ever flat. Never flat. That's me. I'm never flat Ray. Or at least never flat forged work. I'm flat in other places, but you know. So I had the idea for this guy that if I just rounded out the bottom, then I wouldn't have to round out the petals. And then it would work really nicely, and I'd be able to do them really quickly. But they definitely did not work the way I thought they were going to. It would have been nicer to have like more rounded petals, I think. It's another experiment, right? But this is another one that has like ridiculously wide open sides, so I'm gonna see what I can do with that. I might actually, you know what? I'll take the jingly bell out. I think what I might do is I might open these up and use to kind of curl them in, and I think that'll make it nicer. So we'll try that. We'll do our best to keep things flatter, or I mean rounder. We'll round things. Seems little, or like in German, it is called a flat roller. Flashweisel, or Wals. Flashweils. Sometimes you want flat though. Sometimes you do want flat, right? Sometimes you do. Ugh. A little thirsty, I think. So we're gonna put, when we're done with these guys, we're gonna put little bows on them. They're gonna kind of look like this one. We've got red bows and we've got white bows, right? And they look kind of cute. I like them. I think it's cute. This is another one where the clacker came out of it. So, I don't know. I don't know. Things and stuff, right? The CH is pronounced like an Aken, and ways is like a wit. Wootsy. Flach wussy. Wooksy. Jingle bows. Yes, they're jingle bows. Flach wussy? I don't know. That's a really bad one. All right, let's see about undoing these guys. All right, more heat. No. Okay. Oops. Did I do that right? Yes, I did. There it goes. I probably butchered that really, really badly. I apologize. Close enough for government work, right? Probably not. Probably not. I try, but I'm so bad. Oliver Harlan, thank you so much for that follow. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the community. All right. Let's see how awful this is. It's very difficult to spell something out to get you to pronounce it in a certain way. I'll bet it is. There are so many times I feel like a bonehead, you know? It also does not help that, like, I was doing really well on the pronunciation of Blocken, but I am not even using that, like, enunciation with this new word, so that makes it even worse for you, I'm sure. Okay, so now that one's a little bit more rounded. That's exactly what I wanted to see. So now we're gonna do another heat so that we're gonna do a heat for each of these other three, and then we're gonna do a couple more to kind of round it into the center like we were doing the others. So this one's gonna take a little bit of time, I think. You need to watch DW News for a while and pick up the accent, right? Then you can be good. Maybe that's what I need to do. Watch the news in German or like other things in German. Admittedly, you did not ask me for German pronunciation lessons, so thanks for trying anyway. I do try. I do try. But I won't lie, I'm so bad. It doesn't help that I am also really bad at pronouncing English half the time, so, you know. Whoopsie! There goes a bell. All right. Ah. Many bells handle it. One drop, right? Hey, I've actually, now that you mention it, I've been incredibly good about not dropping things today, guys. I've been incredibly good about not dropping things. Not too bad, you got Aachen right, and though the CH sound does not exist in English. I don't have a drop counter, I'm sorry. Phonetic spelling with Phoenician letters is a trap. I agree. I totally agree. My sister, the school teacher, when she went to college, she actually went to college for linguistics. And she loves that stuff. And me, I'm just like, more power to you. I don't understand a lick of this. Give me some metal. I can understand metal. All right. Slowly but surely, we're getting there on this bell. I need more heat. I need more heat. Anthrax, Slayer, Megadeth. If only we could bet channel points on a daily drop count. Really? The letters get reused in a bunch of Western languages, and the sound assignments are different. Basic pronunciation rule in German. If there's a letter, you pronounce it period. No skipping half the letter like in English. Well, then how do you explain the Aachen thing? CH, you're not really pronouncing either one of them. Oh, I guess, okay, fine. Fine. Because the C is the hard K, and then the H is the H. So, okay, Aachen. Okay, that makes some sense. There are no rules in English, and American English is even worse, right? All right, so I do understand it sort of a little bit better. See, I was kind of trying to pronounce it like in French, right? Because in French, there's like a bajillion letters, and half of them aren't pronounced at all. So maybe if I pronounce things a little bit more like Spanish, because in Spanish every single letter is pronounced. Yes, French is bad at this, but not German. In English, you can literally write fish as Ghoti, and that's how the old pronunciation is. Wow. Like I said, I'm not really a linguistic person. That's my sister. That's my sister. Okay, I gotta fight this bell because I accidentally put it in the back of the forge again. Okay, there we go. I should be fine now. Ah! Man, we almost had another, like, spill ray day. I tripped over the post vise because I'm a smarty. Okay. Woo! We're getting there. We are getting there. Hicks, yeah. All right, one more, or not one more heat, many more heats, but another heat. We're going to go with another heat as opposed to one more heat. And you always drop the E's at the end, like in Walls. Is that Walls? No, if there is an E, you pronounce the E. Walsy? It's not there for fun. There is no, E's are not there for fun. They're there to modify the vowel. Usually, in English, if there is a word that has an E at the end, it is emphasizing the other vowel, or I guess changing the sound of the other vowel. Germans always follow the rules. Merkins are rule breakers, if you haven't noticed. No, in German, they are there to be pronounced. Okay. I will believe you. I mean, they should be there to be pronounced, right? You know? But they're not. They're not always there. Like the E in the word the. T-H-E. The. You know? I suppose it's a soft eh sound that you're going for, but that's not how I pronounce it. More like A. I? Something like that. All right. Much more better. Ah! I rolled that. I rolled that real bad. Oh. Maybe let's not rest the bell on our hammer, right? Okay. Let's get back into the center and kind of finish or like re-round that because we kind of flattened it a little bit. And then we'll finesse that back closed. describe without the sound. Short sounds in the are pronounced. Good example of how E is pronounced in German. So when you roll that and then you have to roll it back, is that called the Walmart move? Maybe. Isn't there a song, like a rollback sound or song that used to be in a Walmart commercial back in the day? So, when I was a kid, when I was trying to learn how to spell and speak and pronounce things, my mom sang me the song. It was called the Eeples and Benini song. And so it was like, I like to eat eeples and baninis. I like to oat opals and bananos. And the purpose of the song was to get me or little kids, because it wasn't just me, to be able to pronounce vowel sounds properly. And that really helped me as a kid. So, do you have a song like that in German that helps little kids pronounce things? If so, and there's a YouTube link, send it to me. Yes, send me the equivalent of German Sesame Street. I can't think of such a song. Oh, okay. When I was a young girl, my father took me into the city. That would be the Black Parade. However, there is a Sesame Street in German. Okay. Yeah, I will watch an episode of the German Sesame Street. You know, you've got like today's episode is brought to us by the letter A and the number 1 or whatever. I'll try and watch it if you can give me or send me a link. I was sure you were going to sing that. Dang it. See, I'm really good about not singing things and reading out lyrics when I know that they're songs, because I used to be in a band and I hated singing, but I was often forced to sing, so I try not to sing when I can. I do have a tendency to do it when I'm like unconsciously working and stuff, but I don't deliberately sing to people. I'm sorry. Found it. Sesame Strasse. Sesamstrasse. We're in ad break, so you guys can't hear me try to pronounce that. I gotta click on the link. If I click on the link, then it'll let me see it. Okay. I don't want to watch it right this second, so yeah, there we go. We can pause it. But we'll go to Twitch. I don't know if you guys heard me or heard the song start or not. But now it's in my history and I'll be able to watch it because I clicked on it. Sesamstrasse. Yeah, that's my attempt to pronounce that. Okay. I didn't hear it. Okay, cool. I clicked on the link to the YouTube and it started playing I think it was the show. All right, right, I'm having a little bit of trouble getting all up in there. So let's see if we can't move these with the scroll tongs. All right, let's get some more heat first. We're gonna get another really flat one. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know why I'm apologizing to you guys. You guys aren't receiving these. Stay. They have their own channel and all. Time for a smaller hammer. I wish I had a smaller hammer. It would be nice. It would be nice. I need to click over so that I can read you guys' stuffies. There we go. There we go. Ah. I'm getting super tired, guys. I'm probably going to have to end the stream once I get these last few finessed. We'll have to do a little bit of wire wheeling later on. All right, heat this another time and hope that I don't accidentally lose the clacker in the bottom of the forge. That one is a little bit, the holes are a little bit long, or like large, I guess. 2 pairs of scrolling tongs, that's a good idea, yes. Almost 4:30, the lights are gonna go out, right? I've got, like I said, I've got one more thing to finesse after this guy, and then all I have left is the cleanup work. Hopefully I can get them done. If not, then I don't know, maybe they'll get really scaly bells. But yes, I do have 2 pairs of scrolling tongs. I actually technically have 3, but there are only 2 that are usable. I made these. A good friend of mine made these guys. Sam, I don't remember Sam's last name. I'm a horrible person. If you know Sam, or if Sam, if you're watching, let me know your last name. And then these guys, which look like some kind of weird shark. I made these guys. These were the very, very first tongs I ever made, and they look like garbage. Here is you. Is that another one? Is that another one? I need another one. Another pronunciation guide. Woohoo! Another Sesame. I love Sesame Street. I don't know how much I can, or like how much I can express how much I love Sesame Street and puppets in general. Like Fraggle Rock, Sesame Street, anything by Jim Henson, like the Muppets. I love them. My favorite, one of my favorites. I love it. It's the sing-songy and the yeah, it's fun. I've actually made puppets before. Muppets. Like, they are Cookie Monster style puppets where you stick your hands in there and, like, you got 3 hands or whatever. Yeah. I love Muppets. Interesting. Before I got into blacksmithing, I did a lot of, like, cosplay and, like, puppetry and all kinds of crazy stuff. I'm a very strange person. I grew up with Sesame Straub in the 80s. Yeah. Me too, but like more like the 90s. Because, you know, they still showed it. They still showed it. Okay. Let's see if I can't close this in a bit. I need to move that up a little. And then go like that. I don't know. The clacker's not going to stay in this one either. The sides are just too wide. It's like really not going to stay in there. But I think that's about as good as I can get this guy with the way that it is right now. Alright, so I'm going to quench this one again. Actually, I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to look at it a little bit further, just so I can see what am I looking at. Ow! Or I could burn myself. That's great too. That's great too. Alright, well, I'm going to quench this guy. That's the finished bell. Not the best bell, but it is a bell. Alright, last bell in the forge. Whew! Is it still even produced? Need a bigger clacker. I do need a bigger clacker. Not the best bell, but it's able. It is a bell. So last I heard, last season, Sesame Street was like the last season of Sesame Street was made last year by HBO. HBO declined to make another season, and Netflix picked it up. So the next season of Sesame Street has been picked up and will be produced by Netflix as of right now. Woohoo! Lexi is on a 10 stream streak. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much, all of you, for your support. Whether this is your first stream or your 100th stream. That's a lie. I don't think I've done 100 streams yet. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, unfortunately, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting no longer exists. In Germany, it is produced by Public TV continuously since the 80s, I think. Yeah, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting was shut down. And for a while, they were looking for private donors, but I don't know that they were able to continue in the same capacity that they had been for a while. I would have been on 27 if Twitch worked right on Friday. Ugh, annoying. Annoying. All right. Last finesse. Let's see what we can do with it. After this, I'm gonna end the stream because, after I'm finished finessing this, I'm gonna end the stream because I'm just getting way too tired to keep going at this. I'll have to work on it a little bit later on. like this side is a little bit shorter. Like this pedal is a little bit shorter than the rest of them. So I'm going to heat it up again. We'll see what we can do. Maybe if I push these two pedals that direction, then that will force this one that direction as well, and this one won't have to go as far. I think that's probably my issue. So let's try that. So I started back at 1. Like the Boys to Men song. It's like 1, you're like a dream come true. 2, just want to be with you. 3, girl, it's plain to see that you're the, yeah. That's what that made me think of, Corwin. I'm sorry. Oh yes, Brian McKnight. I don't know why I thought it was Boys to Men. Like I said, I'm getting pretty tired, so that's probably, my brain is not all here anymore, and that's probably what's going on. So yeah, apologies for any weirdness that happens for the next, I don't know, probably 15 minutes while we're still here. Thanks for joining me and, putting up with my shenanigans. All right, let's do another heat. Okay. So I need this one to go that way, not that. But it's going to make it difficult to move it if I don't. Okay. And then this one goes more that way. We're getting there, slowly but surely. This is going to be another one where the sides are a little bit too big. There's apparently water in there. I love that. Water in the bottom of my swage block. I gotta take that out because it's gonna end up rusting. Why is there water in the bottom of that? Still thinking, can't you close those gaps by pushing the metal at the sides further in? Might mess up the nice shape a bit. Prio 1 is that the clacker is kept inside. I have thought about that. But okay, so the problem is that in order to do that effectively, I would essentially have to have a ball inside of the bell to hammer against in order to maintain a reasonable shape. Because steel is it has a lot less ductability, right? So it always wants to come back, right? So if I hammer in one direction, it's going to open in another direction. Does that make sense? So I could do it, but I would almost need a specialized stake inside of the belt to do it. In order to make it happen, I would have had to start from the beginning too. The risk of making a crease or wrinkle. Yes, that as well. It's kind of hard for me to explain. Yeah. Yes, it will fold further together, but it will probably overlap a bit. Yes, it will. It will also force the opposite side open, right? So if I hammer, okay, so if I were to hammer this way on this bell to close this in, it would widen out at the same time. So I could hammer it down, but it would also widen this way. So this section would open. Does that make sense? So it would take a lot more effort than I have right now to fix it. I could do it, but it would take a while. Because I'd have to like open and close and open and close a lot. I'm sorry. There's a better explanation for that, but I cannot grasp it right now. I'm sorry. My brain is like really kind of mushy. I'm starting to get real tired. All right, so like every shape that I'm doing, right, has the rest of the bell is also moving at the same time, right? Because the bell wants to go back to its original shape. And as we go, its original shape, or like what it considers its original shape, is changing a little bit. But not enough to like, you know. All right, I need a little bit more heat. We're getting there. We're getting there. But yeah, the clacker is going to fall through this hole regardless. So I'm not terribly worried about the corners on this one. Okay. There's a lot of 3D chess going on in those corners. It is, man, it is. I think the tips on the top must overlap more so the holes at the bottom close further. Yeah, kinda. So you can actually make it round, but so the whole thing relies on the fact that because we're basically folding the steel over top of itself, right? But instead of allowing it to fold, we're getting these ripples and we're kind of upsetting them down. So we're thickening out the material in those sections, but it would take a lot of push and pull in order to to close it enough, right? And I just don't have that kind of time right now. Lobster Candy Cane, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome. Hello. Welcome, welcome. So, like, it is possible to close those holes and to make it so that the clacker doesn't fall out. It's very possible to do that, right? But it's kind of like a lost cause. It's like a sunk cost fallacy. That's what I'm trying to say, right? Is it easier to start from a fresh piece of flat stock and work it for long periods of time to get that curve exactly the way I want it to? Or should I just, make it work for now? Does that make sense? So if I had started this process like forever ago in like November or September, I would have had perfect bells by now. But because I'm a last minute person, I don't have enough time to work the problem to its full conclusion. So I'll try to do something a little bit better next year, Me too. I'll try to do it better next year. But yes, I'm a last minute queen. And unfortunately, I waited too long to do these properly. Also, you know, practice makes perfect. It you know, the more I do, the better they're gonna get. Okay. So I think that's all that's all she wrote for the time being. And just to, you know, drive you nuts a little bit, I'm going to stick the clacker in that direction. Alrighty. I think that's all she wrote for me for now. I might be able to work the problem a little bit more tomorrow before we leave or whatever. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me. I have had a blast. It's been so much fun. Thank you all for joining me today. Have a wonderful Merry Christmas and a wonderful rest of the week. I will see you guys again on Monday. Monday. Thank you, and have a nice Christmas and a Merry Christmas. Yes, a nice evening. Merry Christmas. Thanks for making a jingle. Awesome. Yeah. Whew. Let's see who is available to raid. Looks like Miramac Mud. Let's go with Miramac. All right, guys. Yes, it's definitely nap time for Ray. Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful, amazing Christmas. Thank you guys so much. I will be back on Monday. Have fun. Thank you. Bye.